Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
They mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.
You take your money, obscene amounts, from Wall Street. How did you go from being dead broke to being worth more than $200 million while in government? And how about that tax-free alleged 501c3 Clinton Family Foundation that's gotten more than $2 billion since you've been in office? That so-called charitable organization where it's estimated that 85% of expenses are for travel, meals, hotels, airfare for many ex-Clinton operatives, leaving 15% for charities. And I'm not even going to discuss the human rights hating countries that gave you that money and what they got in return from you. But since more than 60% of Americans don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth anyway, let's move on to someone else. General Allen. You gotta love that four-star kick-ass Marine drill sergeant barking at the convention.
To our enemies, we will pursue you as only America can. You will fear us. And to ISIS and others, we will defeat you. We know that she, as no other, knows how to use all instruments of American power, not just the military, to keep us all safe and free.
Say what? Did she lose those instruments when her ambassador and the men in Benghazi needed help? It was her use of American power as Secretary of State that started the disaster in Libya that culminated in Benghazi. It was while she was in charge of our foreign policy that the JV team ISIS barreled through Iraq and has since arrived on our homeland. It was under her leadership that the whole Middle East went into flames. General, were you even a part of the discussion that led to our early withdrawal from Iraq? Do you support the rules of engagement that tie our soldiers' hands behind their backs in Afghanistan? And while we're at it, you talk about our precious Muslims? Did you make one peep about our precious veterans dying waiting to see a doctor at the Veterans Administration? Did you object to the sequester, the reduction of our armed forces? With all due respect, General, you belittle yourself. And how about the rest of the convention? I get that we're stronger together, but do you really think it's a good idea to showcase those who came here illegally at a national presidential convention? And to showcase the mothers whose sons were killed in law enforcement confrontations? Not the least of which was the mother of Michael Brown. Michael Brown was a thug who had just committed a strong-armed robbery and reached for a cop's gun. And during the hard-fought moment of silence for cops killed by African Americans because they were white, the chants of Black Lives Matter disrespected the silence at the Democratic convention. Now, Hillary Clinton and her husband are fundamentally dishonest. And whether or not you buy the Liars Convention theme of Stronger Together, you still have to deal with the issues confronting America. So let's get rid of the birds chirping and the butterflies fluttering and the long white flowery skirt that Hillary wore. It's all political theater, folks, with lip service to themes of unity and oneness. Just to prove my point, the woman who jeopardized our national security with her private server had her emails hacked again. And for all you women out there who think that electing a female president will lift us all up, just ask yourselves if electing an African-American president lifted up the blacks in this country or made race relations better. It's time to face reality and the ugly truth of the world that we live in and how we're going to survive in it. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter. Hashtag Judge Janine. And with me now, my political panel to react to my open and all of the latest breaking news, Donald Trump surrogate Republican strategist Boris Epshteyn and Democratic strategist Sasha Burns. All right, guys, let's talk about the convention. Hillary Clinton clearly had a very Hollywood orchestrated convention. Donald Trump had more of the ordinary people. Would you agree?
Well, he had two soap opera stars and Scott Baio, so I don't know that I would call that normal. I would call it he couldn't get anybody except for his family and someone who works for him. He couldn't get Jeb Bush. He couldn't get George Bush. He couldn't get George H.W. Bush. He couldn't get John McCain. He couldn't get John Kasich. So was it normal people? It was because Republicans don't want to be near him.
Isn't the fact that Donald Trump, like Bernie Sanders, is an outsider, and that Hillary Clinton is the ultimate insider establishment?
You know what I'd go with?
That's a yes or no question.
Sane and competent. That's what Bloomberg said. You don't have to agree with her.
Okay, go ahead.
Sane and competent.
So we can also about Al Gore wasn't on the Democrat line. Here's the bottom line: 70% of people in this country feel the country's going the wrong direction. They feel
72%.
They feel so. It's actually between 70 and 80. Certain polls have it as high as 79. They feel the country's going in the wrong direction. They feel that establishment, the Democrat establishment, Barack Obama, Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, have taken us in the wrong direction. And Donald Trump represents that voice. Of course, the Democrats are going to cry and say, well, you know, somehow it was negative. It wasn't negative. As you said, it was realistic. I was at both conventions. Our convention, the Republican convention, was realistic. It was the voice of the people. The Democrat convention, kumbaya crowd.
Let me ask you this before we waste time. The voice of the people. The truth is that the Democratic convention was more star-studded. I don't think there's any question about that. But you know, when you say that Donald had his children, I think they are his strongest weapon.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, then let's elect one of them for president, not Donald Trump.
Because
they seem slightly
live in a bubble,
more sane than he does.
The Democrats live in a bubble, and that's why they have these Hollywood stars who don't know what's going on in the real world.
Sasha, did you even hear Donald Trump's his presentation at the convention?
Of course I did. He thinks America is a hellhole. He thinks that our military is terrible.
Did Donald Trump say it was a hellhole?
That, yes.
What's your pen,
yes.
please?
Did he say it was a hellhole?
A hellhole.
I don't think so.
Yes, he has.
You're incorrect.
America is a hellhole.
You're incorrect.
So,
he didn't say that. You mischaracterized what he said.
That is what he talks about.
Wait a minute. Stop. Your statement to our producers said you hadn't seen Trump's speech.
No, I didn't. I, of course, watched Trump's speech. That's somebody else.
That's not, and you didn't say, but I'm sure it was idiotic?
That was the press conference the next day.
Okay, but
that wasn't a speech.
You hadn't seen Trump's speech, but you did see his speech.
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right, so you saw Trump's speech, and you think that this is a man who is not painting a picture of America that's accurate.
Here's what America is accurate. American exceptionalism. We're the greatest country in the world. Our military is the greatest country in the world. We don't need some whiny little man-child to rule us.
Oh, so
we don't need him. It is about...
The Democrats are so sad, and they go with personal insults against Donald Trump.
Hillary's never insulted by you guys.
I'll let you talk, so let me finish, okay? Let's look at the facts. 62 million people in this country between the age of 16 and 64 are unemployed. The GDP growth last quarter, 1.2%, anemic. The previous quarter revised to 0.8.
Okay,
the Democrats have failed. They don't get another shot.
What about the fact that Hillary Clinton, in her presentation to the convention, talked to us how she was going to defeat ISIS and basically repeated everything that Obama's been doing? What's so great about Hillary Clinton?
Complete failure.
What do you think Trump is going to do?
No, I
He's
know
gonna
that's not
turn
what
away-
you know.
what do you think he's gonna do?
This is what Hillary Clinton did for the whole convention. All she did was talk about Donald Trump and how bad he is. But here's the thing: she's going to do the same thing that Obama did. She's going to add more money to no shovel-ready jobs, and she talked about doing the same strategy against ISIS.
ISIS was born on her watch. ISIS was born on Hillary
Iraq
Clinton's
happened
watch.
on Bush's watch, and 9/11 happened on Bush's watch, according to your nominee.
That's pretty rich.
So yeah, does it take a while to defeat ISIS? Yes, it will.
You've had 8 years in your show. You don't get another shot.
Why are they so close in terms of the numbers? You know, the Real Clear Politics, 43-3 versus 43-7. So I guess...
Because the country's sick of the Clintons, that's why.
The country has always been divided. I do want to
No,
talk
the
about...
country has never been as divided as it is today.
Since
That's
when?
what created the outsider drive.
Since when have we had a presidential that wasn't just about 50-50? But let me talk about right track, wrong track, because that's an interesting one. That question has been asked for 45 years. There have been 3 times that it's ever been above 50%.
Right, now it's 70%.
All right, that's enough.
Right.
Let me ask
Now
the
it's
question.
70%. The
Now,
country's in a much worse place than 8 years ago, and you know it.
Do you really feel that this woman can protect you when ISIS grew under her watch?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely, I do. Because she's competent and experienced.
She's never
What has
shown
she
that
done?
ability to protect
Stop.
you.
Really think-
Stop. What has she done as senator from New York?
Senator from New York has nothing to do with defending us against ISIS.
Whoa,
We're
whoa,
talking
whoa,
about the
whoa,
President of the
whoa,
United
Answer
States.
my question.
She worked.
Answer my
she
question.
Worked with members of the Senate on both sides of the aisle.
Oh, that's great. What did she pass?
She passed.
What bills did she sponsor that were passed?
She passed.
You don't know.
I do know.
What are they?
Education.
That's
Health
hogwash.
insurance.
Look, there are 3 bills that she sponsored that were passed. One's renaming a road, the other's renaming a post office, and the other was a resolution where we,
No, because
we
you don't-
congratulate
And while she was Secretary of State, ISIS came into being.
Forrest Epstein and Sasha Burns, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Judge.
All right, and another huge issue front and center for Americans voting in November, the economy, and which presidential candidate's plan will help your family the most. With me now is Donald Trump economic advisor Steve Moore. All right, Steve, I understand that you, in fact, were with the candidate today. Is that correct?
Well, the meeting was suspended because he was coming up back from Colorado Springs and didn't get back in time. So we'll be meeting in the next few days. But you know, I have been working with Donald Trump for the last couple of months, and we are going to put forward this week, Judge, either this week or early next week, a very pro-growth economic platform. And
all right, let me ask
by the way,
Steve.
you really nailed it when you said, when you look at Hillary's program, and you said this so well, there is nothing new. In other words, what she proposed was raise the minimum wage, raise taxes on rich people, more shovel-ready projects. We've done that for 8 years. It hasn't worked. What we're going to be talking about is a really dynamic new program to get America back to work again.
All right, I want to ask you about some of the things that were said at the convention by her. She says that anyone willing to work in America should be able to find a job to get ahead. How is that going to happen when, for the last 8 years, that hasn't been the case? What will she do differently?
Well, that's the whole point. Nothing. I mean, I don't know about you, Judge. I didn't hear one new idea in that entire speech. Give more things away for free, raise the minimum wage, and so on. You know, what's really interesting is business, if you listen to that speech, there was very much an anti-rich people, anti-business, anti-employer theme to that speech. And the problem with liberalism, you can't have more jobs if you don't have employers and if you don't have businesses.
Okay.
This idea of bashing our businesses to create jobs, how does that add up?
Well, yeah, and you know what? I can't believe she's part of that 1%, but that's another subject.
That's true.
She said the economy isn't working because democracy isn't working. What did that mean?
I wish I knew what that meant, but it is true the economy isn't working. I mean, my goodness, we've had, just look at the Wall Street Journal front page today, Judge, worst economic recovery since the 1930s, since the Great Depression. That wasn't the editorial page, that was the news page. I mean, we've gotten more and more bad news. I actually think right now, Judge, that we're not in a recession. but the businesses in America are in a recession. The only thing that's keeping the economy afloat right now is the consumer. And as their wages stagnate, how much longer can consumers do this?
Because we're up against a break.
Yeah.
What is Donald Trump going to do that can change things?
We're going to do 3 things right out of the gate. Number 1, we're going to reform the tax system, biggest tax cut since Ronald Reagan. We're going to cut the business tax rate to the lowest rate in the world so those businesses come back. Number 2, we're going to have a pro-America energy policy to produce our oil, our gas, and coal. We have more oil and gas and coal than any other country in the world. We should be using it. Hillary's against that. Number 3, we're going to repeal Obamacare, and we're going to put in place something that is pro-consumer, reduce costs, because I don't know about you, Judge, but I am not saving $2,500 a year on my health insurance.
Steve Moore, thanks so much for being with us.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And want to know about Hillary's America? We've got the guy who wrote the book and did